Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you guys are doing good and everyone is good today. And this is something very different. Without Umar, it looks a little different, sounds a little different. Because usually Fridays को आप लोग मुझे और उमर को साथ देखते हैं. I'm always doing the co-hosting with him. But today I am hosting the show and it feels kind of alienated right now. But the show must go on, as Umar says. So we're going to do the same thing that we always do on Fridays, the literature reviews. Literature is actually basically our whole idea behind it is to incorporate reading habits and make sure everybody is actually enticed, everybody is reluctant enough to go for reading because in this era where we all get summaries and we get analysis of everything, as a literature person, I believe that it is especially my responsibility, everybody who's with the literature society, responsibility to make people understand that there's so much behind every single page of a book. And that's exactly what we have in mind when we are doing our literature shows. So Greenwich University's initiative was to help incorporate reading in all the people out there. And I hope our content is going to help and build up to your knowledge for different things and for your analysis as well. Some people do their literature reviews, so I hope we can, contribute to that and make a better aspect to it. Today we have a very, very special book with us in the literature review, that is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. It has sold over 20 million copies. It was wrote in 1988. This book is something very, very special in terms of the writer who has written it, Paulo Coelho himself. Paulo Coelho actually faced psychiatric problems in his very young age. He was admitted to a psychiatric ability so that he could, cover up with all the problems he was having in his mind. He dropped out of law college and law school, and because he was into drugs and he believed in things that were not required or what was accepted from for the society that he was living in, and he is living in. Paulo Coelho is a writer who writes about dreams, who writes about illusions, who writes about the oneness of the universe. What exactly oneness of the universe is, we're going to incorporate more of it. Before that, I will introduce my guest with me today. I have Yasser Kamer. He's doing his master's in English literature from Greenwich University. And Yasser is also working as a coordinator at one of the very famous schools as well. And Yasser has been a great contributor to our literature programs. Hi, Yasser, how are you?
I'm fine, Sundus. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for asking. The next we have Abdullah Butt. Abdullah is also doing his has done his bachelor's. I've almost done, right? His bachelor's from Greenwich University in English Literature and Language. He is also a great writer as well. He's amazing in his literature reviews, and he has always been the person who has a very out of the box idea towards every literature review. So I'm extremely excited that Abdullah, you're back with us. And
Thank you
how are
so
you,
much.
Abdullah?
Thank you so much in this. And you kind of oversold me a little there, but you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take the overselling me there.
Naini, I think you both are doing really good, and I'm so happy that you both come and share your insights, and you're always available to help out in the literature reviews. So, boys, talking about Paulo Coelho and his writing, The Alchemist. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that this novel, this whole idea of writing about such a in-depth thinking, and it's a very short novel. It's not that big. It's not 2,000 pages. It's almost like what 180 pages in some, 160 pages in some, but it's filled with वो जो कहते हैं ना, वो जो है proper writing होती है. It's a proper writing. How? What are your insights on it? I just want one sentences from both of you. I'll start with Abdullah.
One sentence. You want me to describe The Alchemist or Paulo Coelho in one sentence?
I want you to describe the novel in itself. That what do you think? It's such a beautiful piece of literature.
Well, I think what we were discussing just before the podcast started is the fact that this is probably the toughest novel that we three people have to review, and especially to make people and other people who haven't read the novel make them read the novel from this review is going to be more tougher because the definition, as I always do, as I always start with the title, as I always try to explain the title of the novel that we're discussing, The Alchemist. Now, the alchemist is someone who performs alchemy. Yeah, that sounds like a very foolish definition. So, for us to know what the alchemist actually stands for, I'll try to define alchemy in a simple sentence. It is basically a practice that is supposed to turn lead into gold or silver, and it is supposed to also cure diseases, and that's not it. It is also supposed to prolong or find the secret of life, which prolongs life. This one liner definition, which has three aspects of it, it defines what alchemy is. And right now, nowadays, if you go to someone and you tell them, okay, I can turn lead into gold or silver, or I know the cure to diseases, or I know the secret to life, they're probably going to look at you like a crazy person, or they're going to look at you as if kya yaar tum jadoo wadu to nahi karte ho. So they're not going to understand what actually happens. But this actually used to be an actual legit practice till I think around 1600. So that's what alchemy is. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but alchemy is and was real. Other than that, I guess we'll discuss and unfold what the book Alchemist, how it takes us to this journey of this man who was trying to seek the meaning of life.
That's so true. Definitely, I totally agree. That thank you for giving some light over the topic as well. Yasir, you tell us, what do you think? That this is a very huge piece of literature. People have done thousands of researches on it as well. So, what do you think that how strong of a piece of literature is this for you?
Well, the word alchemy basically means how a basic metal is turned into gold. So, this novel itself, I believe, uh, tells about tells about how a person who is ordinary can achieve his or her dreams and become even greater than he or she already was. So, for me, this piece of literature is really motivating because it shows us how you can actually follow your dreams and how fate does play a role in it, but dreams are achievable. They're not something that can be given up on.
That's so true. I like your point of dreams and how a person should always believe. There are thousands of books that are written about our energy, our aura, that we all attract what we think, and we attract the good, we attract the bad. And I specifically remember one of my mentors telling me that if you're going to think about the bad is going to come to you. If you're going to think about the good, you're always going to attract the good. When I was reading the novel The Alchemist, I believe I saw this oneness of thought, this oneness of action, and the universe, it speaks in a language that is universal for all. That's one language. That's the language of energies. That how well you can connect with your surroundings, with your environment, and you make peace out of it. You make a relationship with it, and you follow that path. Taking this point forward and talking about the alchemist itself, it's about Santiago, right? He's a shepherd, and yet we see symbols. I'm not going to give out so much text away because I know you kids always are crazy. No, 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 don't tell so much. Be quiet, give less, give less. So I would not. But then again, if I talk about the very basics, it's like there are symbols of sheeps, and usually sheeps are the one that we think of as well, the people who follow the same flock, and they're all in botany, and then there's a shepherd in it. So the person who's leading, and then the person who transcends from them, the person who leaves them, sells them, the person who leaves his love life. Basically, a search for his own self is something that is is not easy. Individuality and knowing your own self is something very hard. We always talk about it, and we are always curious, and people have written thousands of books on it. Okay, to know your own self is the biggest accomplishment for anyone. So you guys, you tell me, Santiago and his dreams, and they take him way far, and he starts a whole new, what should I say, entourage of his life. So Yasir, you tell me, how has it been when you were reading it?
Well, I believe dreams are a connection to the unconscious mind, and
So
that is what psychology basically tells
that's what
us.
Freud said.
Now, Now, dreams can be interpreted in so many different ways. Uh, Apparently, a good dream could spell out bad news for you, or a bad dream could actually spell out good news for you. That's all up to how the dream is interpreted. Now, as for Santiago, his dreams were interpreted by this woman, and she says that he was going to find treasure. Now, in that whole in that whole novel, uh, the fact that he does find treasure and how his fate leads him to that treasure is basically uh, how his dream was interpreted, how he'd become a bigger man, a greater
Mhm.
man. So I think dreams in general uh, can spell out something good for you, but there's something so fickle that it's better not to rely on them.
Hmm. I believe that like the first of all, Yasser is one of those students who is very objective, and he has only one sentence in which he gives out all the meaning. Like he doesn't, I've seen it in him. I would like
Yeah.
taking your point forward. What do you think that how much dreams are actually there, and what do you believe? Because Paulo Coelho has given us a whole different vast, area. It's
Mhm.
usually something not a lot of people believe in. Majority of people don't believe in, I would say, but then there are people who believe in a lot. So you tell me, what is your take on the theme of dreams, especially in this book?
Theme of dreams in this book. First of all, I would just like to add that the little tiny spoiler that Yasser gave away is not actually true. None of that happened in the book. That is, do not believe that. That is not true. Yasser is just trying to make you read the book. That's not the ending. I promise you that. But on the themes of dream and on themes of individuality, uh, you asked Yasser this question, which I think uh, should be essential for any sort of book review. If you don't mind me answering as well, that what was your reaction or what was your feeling when you read the book? Uh, I'll take that question and answer the question you're asking right now. What the themes of dreams are in that book?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
So this book, uh, when I read it, I was really young. I didn't know what literature was. I didn't know what how themes worked, how dreams worked, and nothing of that. So I was quite young when I read this book. When I read it, I was fragmented. I was fragmented out of my individuality. What fragmented by I mean by this that you, I just didn't feel like I knew who I was anymore. And a lot of times we have dreams where we wake up, we remember nothing. In our dreams, we feel like we weren't ourselves. And at times, we feel like in our dreams, there are people who we know from real life, and we see these people in our dreams, and we look at them and we think, oh no, I do not know them. I don't know these people. I know their face, but I don't know who these people are, even though we may have known them in real life. I think that's what Paulo Coelho did with The Alchemist when it comes to dreams. He takes, and I think this is what alchemy is part of what Yasser said as changing, right? He takes you as you are as a person, he takes this form, this real life form, and he separates it from a dream form, from a fantastical form, from a form that's supposed to be found or seeked for, that individual form that exists without what our real life influences have given us. For example, in our real life, we have influences from our family, from our friends, from our co-workers, colleagues, and a lot of other people. But what if you take that away and you turn it into something of an individual? An individual that's purely us, that's purely our being and nothing else, that's purely connected to, as Sundas you said, a oneness. I think that's the best way to probably describe how I feel about the theme of dreams and individuality in the book, is that it creates or gives you the dream of not just an individuality of myself, but all of us as individuals become one. One with something that I can't explain, which I think this bike man would probably explain better, which I think is that the book explains the best. That's what my 2 cents on the fact that dreams and everything, how it works in the book is. Once again, you have to read the book. I really can't explain it better. I really can't give it justice to how individuality works. But I think a lot of us, in the largest sense, are just trying to, even right now, even in real life, even as we're going through this pandemic, we're trying to find who we are. I think we still are trying looking for it. That's what I
That's so
think.
true. There's this really good quote in the book as well that says that when we love, we always strive to become better than we are. When we strive to become better than we are, everything around us becomes better too. This is a very small line of it, but I believe that it holds so much of value because I believe it's all in our actions. Rajasthan Abdullah, you just said right now that you take everybody out of the picture. You just think about your own self in that dream. I believe that yes, it is us. We are the people who actually radiate this whole, persona, this whole idea of what we're going to be having in our lives. Just as say, I cannot, as Abdullah says, that we don't know what happened. But then again, if I talk about it, how different things have occurred in the book and how his own mindset was the reason, he evolved into things or he changed into certain ideas was because of the fact that Paulo Coelho believed and believes that there is this power inside of you that you always miss out. And I love this about his book. This book is actually translated in the most number of languages. It has, sold 35 million copies. Why? Because it shows any person. Firstly, it interacts with every person, everyone, it interacts with all ages. It makes anybody, let's say, for example, right now, one of the students has said that, I was really young when I read it. And now when I am older, I understand another meaning. When I was there, my world was fragmented. Each book of literature always helps you in developing your character, your understanding towards the environment you are living in, and it makes you see things in a different perspective. Writers incorporate different things, such as even if a writer is writing about a cloud, there's always a backstory towards it. If they're writing about a pyramid, there's a backstory towards it. If they're writing about coins, gold coins in it, there's always some symbolism given to you because they want to show that each small bits and nits of our life are all incorporating and forming one thing that is the reality of life, that how much life is actually going to go forward. So taking this point forward and talking about faith, because right now I just gave a very big explanation about faith as well. But Yasser, you tell me, faith in this book, how do you see it?
Well, I believe that fate is sorry, is basically how events, the events that occur, and they're beyond a person's control, and they're regarded as something that is being controlled by supernatural power, higher power. Now, I believe a person does have some control over their fate because, like many things in life, fate itself is, I believe, arbitrary. It falls in the gray area. It's neither black nor white.
Hmm.
Now, dreams link to fate. Now, because everything is gray, it's up to us to take the path which best leads us to our goal. Now, if we see something in our dream that we interpret it and we leave it to fate, fate won't necessarily take us there, but it will guide us, and it is up to us to make the right decisions. So, what basically I'm trying to say is that fate isn't the path that we walk on, but rather it is that little push that we need to achieve our goals.
That's true.
Just
That's true. I like that explanation of faith. That yes, it's that little push. Abdullah, your intake.
My intake on faith, I think I, on a slight hand, I do agree with Yasser saying that faith and dreams are being connected, and that faith actually isn't something that you have to follow like a path. Rather, we have a choice usually whether we take A or B. But at the same time, if I'm talking about the theme and how it was shown in the book, um, I think in the book, when we read the book, we're going to be finding the essence of what faith actually is. You know how there's some things that are just meant to be. For example, I was just meant to have ice cream today. I just had ice cream. Like I wasn't ready. I wasn't thinking about ice cream. I was meant to have it. I had it one way or the other. In the same sense, I think when Yasser says that we get a choice to either be A or B, I think that sort of means, taking our first point forward, is how alchemy means to change a small basic metal into either silver or gold. I think faith describes whether it's going to be silver or gold. Now, both silver and gold have their uses. Now, in the Alchemist, it's shown very well of how the faith decides whether the man goes for gold or whether he goes for silver. I think that's why the book is so important to read at any given age. I think because a lot of times we're struggling that, oh, you know what, I want to become like that, I want to become like that, and I want to be, and we think that, oh, you know what, the gold is better, and the other person thinks no, the silver is better, and then they have a clash. But I think faith would be that sometimes we're either destined to be gold or sometimes we're either destined to be silver, and both are equally, I think, helpful in trying to become what we're supposed to be. I think that's what I have to give about faith. I think faith is somewhat destined, but at the same time, there's a thing that it shows. Faith gives you an option, as if it's almost like, okay, you know what? I know you're silver, but here's gold. You can just look at it. Just you're meant to be silver, but gold is here too. So you're not the only one. So that shows how individuality works once again. So I'm silver, but I'm looking at someone who's gold. That doesn't mean that my worth is lost. I think that's why the alchemist. That's what alchemist really, really shows quite well. That's what I think. I think since this camera got stuck,
Yeah, that's what
since
happened. But
since
yeah,
this
you're right. It's like how our perfections earned someone else's flaws, and how someone else's flaws earned our
precisely
perfections.
so, precisely so.
I think that's how life works. That's how individuality, uniqueness works.
It's very
And so
hard.
this is our
So
conversation.
this is out of the picture. We are
No, no, no.
officially
I'm
hosting
not
the
out
No,
of the
show.
she's back.
picture,
She's back.
guys. Hi, I'm back. And sorry, that was my light fluctuation, my bad. Yes, Abdullah, I would say that the way you described about how we talk about, it's there, and story can actually be interpreted in any age, and any
Mhm.
age person can understand and put their own meaning with it, because that's how you take the gold or silver. uh, I always talk about this with my students as well, and I want you guys to, even because now you guys are almost teachers as well. Some of you are related to education field. So, how much do you guys believe that, uh, as a person who has knowledge, a person who can deliver their own thoughts to this world, and they have that, confidence that they go out and they talk about what is the good and what is the bad? Do you think that incorporating the thought of oneness, because this is a very famous thing in his writings, that the secret of life though is to fall 7 times and to get up 8 times, or he says about it's the possibility of having a dream come true that makes life interesting. These
Mhm.
small things that he has quoted in the book is actually inspirational, because he develops the thought of oneness, that yes, if you think about one thing, if you go towards one thing, it can develop yourself. So I'm just going to ask you both that how much do you believe that yes, oneness holds a very important part? Because a lot of people say that no, it's not that. It's faith. It's kismat, or it's written all over. We cannot change it. We cannot develop something of our own, because people always believe that ऐसा नहीं होता. But then there's hope as well. So what do you have to say about that? I'll ask Abdullah.
Are you asking me? You're asking what oneness has to do in the book?
Yes.
Oneness with, I think, okay, this is going to be a very, very lengthy thing to discuss. It's very difficult to discuss this once again. Um, Now, when we're talking about oneness, we can talk about different sets of oneness, but I think particularly to the book, we're going to be talking about the oneness with the universe, right? If I'm not wrong, oneness in the book suggests, or rather, gives off the aura that everything around you is connected. Everything around you is connected with you. It's always been connected with you. What we see, what we do, what we feel, what we think, what Sundar you said in the very start, that what I think is what I'm getting. I think bad, I'll get bad. I'll think good, I'll get good. I think oneness plays around that idea in the book. I think oneness has this, tiptoeing thing going on that, okay, you know what? You have this factor of individuality. Now, I think what we have to really separate now before our readers or what our listeners get confused about is individuality. I don't think in the book is always equating or equals to oneness. I think
No, no, it's
oneness,
not.
yeah, I
Yes.
think oneness is something in the book that's mentioned with the whole of the universe, with something that's mentioned
Yes.
to
The environment around.
being a part of a bigger scheme. For example, the sun
Mm.
has its own individuality, but its
Yes.
oneness is being a part of a solar system. And I think once we read the book, I think that's how the book describes it as well, that you have your individuality. But where in this tree of life, where in this universe does your individuality become one? I think that's my two bits on the fact that oneness exists in The Alchemist.
Yeah, I would say definitely. I like that point that you made, the incorporation of the sun and the whole idea. I like that. Yasser, you tell me, what do you think that
I
oneness
believe
is about?
oneness refers to the uniqueness of an individual, and oneness can be described as dipping your finger in a lake and creating ripples. However, you're not the only one doing that. The thousands,
Yeah.
millions, and hundreds of thousands of others doing the same thing. Now, the resulting ripples from your finger will interact with the ripples created by someone else's finger, and so
Hmm.
on and so forth. Now, those ripples are basically your doings, your choices, and those ripples will be the one affecting the other person. And in that, it creates a chain reaction. So,
Yeah.
your wrong or right choices will affect someone else, and it will keep going on like that.
That's
So,
so true.
your uniqueness is unique to you. However, using that uniqueness in the right or wrong way is up to you. So, whichever decision you make, whatever choices you come across, that you have to keep in mind that it will affect someone else as well. And I believe that is how our oneness uh, is connected to someone else's oneness.
Exactly. I would definitely take that point forward. And thank you so much for both of you showing oneness with me and helping me out in this literature review. I really appreciate it. I'm just gonna quickly ask both of you your, the says that how was this literature review for you? I'm gonna start with Abdullah. Quickly tell me that how was it for you?
As always, it was great. It was really nice talking about books like these. I didn't expect this. I'm not gonna lie. When you messaged me that, oh, who has read The Alchemist, I did not expect we're gonna review such a heavy book. And once again, I still don't feel like we've done the review this
No,
justice. I think if any listeners out there, anyone listening, I think you should really, really read the book. I think it's a book that's definitely going to help you through whatever you're going through. And that's a big statement. That's a pretty blanket statement, but it is definitely a book that is going to make you think, is going to ask you the right questions. And I would just like to add one last thing. It is my literature teacher back in A levels used to tell me this one thing, that if you ever have a question, take the book nearest to you, open the first page, or open any page for that matter, and see the first line, and that question will be answered in that first line. I think The Alchemist, if you have that
wow,
book, I think that is the book that you need. That you open it, the first line is going to answer any question that you have, which is a big statement, but you should try it out for yourself.
that's excellent, Abdullah. What do you have to say, Yasser? How was your experience?
It's always fun having you and Abdullah as a critique on a book. It's always fun.
Good.
without
Thank you so
spoilers,
much, boys.
without
Yes,
spoilers.
I think
No
critique is a big
spoilers
one.
were here. No spoilers were
Yeah,
here.
no, 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 no. Yeah, Abdullah, we are all thumbs up. Thank you so much, boys, for coming in. Really appreciate your time and the effort that you both put. This was a little small review of ours on The Alchemist. I know we haven't done justice to it. I know this book requires extensive study. It's almost like a book for a whole semester, I would say. And still, I would say there's so much to unfold in it. That's the beauty of literature, that you always unfold something different while reading it. Thank you so much for everyone for tuning in. I really appreciate all the effort, all the comments that you guys do, and the likes that you give. Really missing Omar over here though, and hope everyone is fine as their places as well. This is Sundar Sanwar signing off with you all. Take care, and Pakistan Zindabad.